Senior Perfecto, Bill Algeo is number 69 in the featherweight division, and he's facing off against a killer who actually he does not hold a worldwide ranking next to his name, but his name is JOANDERSON BRITO, and he is a minus 125 favorite with a plus 105 comeback for Bill Algeo, Senior Perfecto. AJ, man, listen, this is going to be a matchup of a flow fighter versus a dude who is willing to do whatever it takes to take you down. He's one of the most explosive takedown artists that I have seen in quite some time. And listen, we just got to see if he can put it together in the UFC, because his last bout was a dominant performance in the Dana White Contender Series that ended a little controversially, though, right? So if you watched the Dana White Contender Series fight, you saw he was smashing, he was winning the entire fight. It was not even close, right? But a couple eye pokes, and next thing you know, his opponent can't fight. However, it was so late in the fight, they ruled it a technical decision in favor of Brito. It was not a no contest. He got the win, and he gets the UFC contract. So here we go. But let's talk about it, man. Over under, because we got to talk about that stuff and all of that good stuff, right? Over and under is 2.5 rounds, pretty much for all of these main card bouts that we have on our hands today. And I can see this going over. I can see this going the distance, right? Very clearly. Is there any world in this fight where you see either of these fighters getting a finish? Because neither of these fighters are very finish-oriented necessarily. I mean, obviously, Brito he has 10 finishes, 5 knockouts, 5 submissions. But I'm talking about in the span of, like, I'm going to come in there, I'm just going to come start you, I'm going to come submit you off the bat. It's going to be a little harder to do than it is to just say, especially when you got Bill Algeo over there trying to flow on you. So what do you think, brother? What do you think about this matchup?
I think if anybody's gonna get the early knockout, the paper is leaning a little bit more towards Brito.
Yeah.
But you got Mr. Perfecto over there, man, slanging, like you said, flowing on you. That's gonna be very, very hard to get things going.
All right, AJ over there coughing it up again, folks. Let me take it over.
COVID, brother.
It's all right. It's all right. So, listen, man, this is going to be a very fun matchup. Ultimately, Bill Algeo, Joanderson Brito. This question is, can Brito get Algeo to the ground and keep him there? And I'm listen, my money says yes. And I think that Algeo, even though he has fought a Ricardo Ramos in his last fight, a Spike Carlisle, a Ricardo Lamas, he fought all of those dudes all in his last 3 fights. It's just a tough task when you got a dude who isn't going to allow you to flow. And this is kind of my theory on the fight overall. So when you have a flow fighter like Bill Algeo, all you want to do is be able to hands low, move. You want to be able to kind of like time your opponent, get those openings, let them strike so you can counter strike, right? But when you're a Joanderson Brito, if you're just doing the explosiveness that he's normally accustomed to, you're not allowing the flow fighter to flow. You're taking them out of their rhythm. And that's what's most important to them, is their rhythm, is their flow. So how does Bill Algeo maintain his flow against a Joanderson Brito? Algeo has the UFC experience. He said in his pre-fight presser that ultimately he hasn't lost these fights, but he just hasn't won them. And obviously, if you didn't win, you lost, you know what I mean? But I get the metaphor of saying, like, I just need to piece a couple things together and I could have won the fights. I just, man, it's a tough task. I don't even want to rule anybody out, but the way that Brito just smashes people and makes me feel like it's going to be a tougher task than, what one may assume. So what do you think?
Going back to your first question about how does Algeo kind of stay in that flow? I think with a snappy front kick, the second Joe Anderson comes in for that double leg.
Sure.
You light one up right up the front. You kind of hurt the guy, set him on his heels again, and now he's thinking. Like, oh, okay, if I come in too hot, he's gonna see that coming. He's gonna have something for me. I need to plan it out a little bit. And while he's sitting there thinking and planning, that's when you can kind of get in that flow state, kind of keep things going. But man, that's hard against a Brito. This dude is explosive, strong, super aggressive, fighting out to shoot the box. So this dude's a scrapper. He was talking about in his Dana White Contender Series show how he was he's a street fighter, bro. Down in South America, that's just how they get down in Brazil, bro. They just like to swing, and that's what makes him happy. So fighting a guy, I have a buddy we call Worm, man. If you ever get in a fight with this guy, it's because he likes to. He gave me this scar just because we like to scrap, and that's just how it goes, man. And if you fighting a guy like that, It's hard because that's just what he knows. There's nothing else besides go forward. So even if you catch him with a front kick to the face, he's still going to be thinking forward motion, forward attack. It's a very hard task for Bill Algeo going forward. But this dude, he's if he puts the right things together and finds those little bit of tweaks that he's talking about, this dude has the chance or the potential, excuse me, to be a champion, man. He fights a lot like a young Stephen Thompson before Stephen Thompson kind of started getting figured out. He has the length. He has that kind of karate style background. Very, very flowy, very confident too. If he doesn't lose his confidence in this fight and he's able to kind of pin Brito back on the heels a little bit and then take over the alpha of the fight, I think it's going to be a little bit more leaning towards Algeo. Honestly, when I was writing this and breaking things down, I was expecting Algeo to be not the underdog, the top dog. I was expecting Brito to be the underdog, and seeing it the other way, where Brito's the favorite, a little shocking, but it makes sense because he's so aggressive. And when you have that aggressive guy fighting a guy who's looking to counter-strike and be on his heels, it's like rock, paper, scissors. It's going to go a lot of the times the same way. But Algeo has a couple different tools in his tool belt to get things going. Yeah. That's the way at least I see it playing out. Who do you think is going to be taking full advantage of that aggression, Derek?
Well, I think Algeo definitely has the tools in his tool belt to be able to use the aggression of Brito against him. But I think it has to be defensive, because if you look at just Algeo's game overall, like I said, the flow counter striker, hands low. He's not the dude who's walking his opponent down. Oftentimes, he's on the back foot. He's using his opponent's momentum against him. And the one thing that he is really good at, he's a really good grappler. So there's a difference, though, between being a good grappler and a good wrestler. I don't think Algeo's wrestling is that great. I think his wrestling is okay, but his grappling is where his bread and butter is. I mean, he does have 6 submissions to his name. So if Brito gets in, shoots in for a blast double, and he can just lock up that guillotine real quick, man, that might be his best chance. I think that grappling off of his back is going to have to be one of his best maneuver to try to reverse position, try to get sweeps, try to get that top position, and then make it a little more competitive than a Brito just straight up double legging you, getting into half guard, and holding you down for 3 rounds. Because if he does that, he's just going to win on points. So I think that that's going to be the best chance for Algeo. Use the aggression of Brito, counter strike, foot in the tire, right? Move in circles, and then ultimately grapple off of your back, get some sweeps, get some reversals, and try to maintain the dominant position. Easier said than done. I just think the explosiveness of Brito reminds me a little bit, believe it or not, of a smaller version of a Yoel Romero. Like, that's how explosive the man is. So it is his UFC debut, and that means that the nerves can be there. The more experienced fighter of Bill Algeo could take advantage of it, but it's time to put our picks, AJ, and I'm going to go first, and I just say Joanderson Brito gets the job done via unanimous decision. I think Bill Algeo is going to be too tough for him to be able to finish, but I do think he's going to be able to hold him down for the majority of the fight and win on points, and I do think clearly it's going to go over 2.5 rounds. So that is my pick for the first bout. What do you think, dog?
Yeah, you compared him to a younger, smaller Yoel Romero. I compared Brito to a bigger Davison Figueiredo, man. Very much a bully, very aggressive in there, very nice hands too, but can also get it done on the ground, man. And I'm with you, Derek. I'm going Brito by decision. I think it's just the way it's how it's going to go. Both these dudes have gas tanks, and I don't think either of them are going to finish each other. So I think this one's going to a decision. I'm leaning towards Joanderson Brito.
Okay, right on, man.